Welcome to August 2021 Board of Recreation and Parks meeting. Meeting's called to order. First order of business is to review and approve the minutes from our June 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those as written?
I have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 3rd meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Meeting minutes are approved as written. The first item on the agenda is to approve 2 park use permits for the Friends of St. Clements and Piney Point Museums for September 19th and August 22nd for their dinner and cruise. Do I have a motion to approve those alcohol consumption and alcohol sales permit requests?
I'll make a motion to approve the permits.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So move. You can approve those, Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The next item on the new business agenda is the ADA transition plan.
Yeah, let me speak to that, and thank you. As we're heading to the budget season, budget time of the year, and the CIP budget, so next month we'll be talking about that strongly at our September meeting. But the ADA transition plan regarding accessibility and inclusion and adaptive use of our facilities and parks is very important to us, very important to our accreditation, and very, very important to our users and our citizens. As you know, Christy Bishop was our TR specialist for many years, hired mainly for this function for adaptation for people with disabilities into programming and facilities. She since has moved over to the project manager, and tonight she's with us as facilitating the meeting as Miss Darlene's away from us. So what we've been doing is working on an ADA transition plan, and Christy can explain it better than I do, but it also, with that, it has some costs, and then also has some formality to it, scheduling, timelines, so we can get our recreation and parks facilities upgraded for all users. So we're going to give you some knowledge of this process. Look forward to some discussion September, October, and then even something discussion tonight if you choose. So I'm going to turn it over to Christy.
Hi. So we've had an ADA transition for many years. Through the CAPRA process, it was recommended that we update the transition plan we have to include photographs of all the locations and add in the fiscal year target dates for completion. So in 2020, I started visiting all the parks again with the camera and taking pictures of all the different things that we have going on in the parks. Sat down and brainstormed with the current CIP budget and then projected it out even further. I did include in your packet what we're calling a cheat sheet, just to help us with the proposed fiscal year planning for each one of the parks. Basically, your transition plan includes a history of ADA in Parks and Recreation. It includes policies, procedures, grievance policies, accommodation requests, how we monitor everything. But the big chunk of it is your site audits. So each park had a site audit completed, and then we targeted out the fiscal year dates in your cheat sheet that you have on there. So the fiscal years go all the way out to 2030. And it, just so you know, the way things were picked were based on first usage with out-of-county users coming in. So you'll notice that Chancellor's Run, Chaptico, and Lancaster were the first 3 with the turf fields and the possibility for out-of-county tournaments. And then we go down with some of the larger park usage like Dorsey Park, 5th District, Cecil, Bagot, on down the line. Even though they are spread out that far, all the way to 2030, citizens' requests will always trump to the top of the list, and then we replan. It is a working document. It's always ongoing. Things could happen in parks way sooner than we say, but this is at our targeted dates. The other thing I brought for you is a sample of, bear with me here, of what one of the site audits looks like. And this is Chancellor's. That's your second attachment on board docs. So what you'll see there is the pictures of the deficiencies, for lack of better words, and it tells you what the access issue is, it tells you what the recommendation to solve the access issue, and then it goes on to give you the targeted fiscal year. So anytime something's done, completed, it would be marked on here, or changed if we change a fiscal year date on there as well. So you can kind of scroll through and see some of the most common issues we have are with our dugouts. Most of the dugouts were built long before some of the ADA regulations changed, which now include the team seating areas, that you have to have an accessible pad next to the team seating areas. So you'll see that throughout a lot of the documents.
Chrissy, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So how much do we have allocated in FY '22 for improvements?
50,000 is allocated with the hope of an additional 150 from the infrastructure.
Which brings to mind, DNR, Department of Natural Resources, through the program Open Space Funding, is allocated to all the counties, different, depends on their side to your county, and here in St. Mary's, 1.5 million. So we're working on that, bringing that recommendation to the commissioners. Two of the bigger ones would be the transition plan. It might even behoove us to spend some more there. Then also baseball, softball field improvements. Those are our two big target items at this time with that funding that we're going to bring to the commissioners. So that would put us at possibly at $200,000 in FY22.
And I would say 90% of everything that needs to be done at parks are asphalt overlays, whether it's overlays or brand-new pathways to access fields. That's also something that changed in the laws through the years of having to access both sides of fields. So it's going to be a lot of pavement and pathways. So my goal is to have the transition plan 100% done for you guys to review in September. It is a very large document, as you can imagine. I believe we're up to about 130 pages, but that includes all the photographs of everything. So that is our goal for that. You guys have any questions about the plan?
So is there a certain threshold you're trying to do every year, Mr. Shepherd? I'm just wondering, because if you do them all, like, have someone just do all the concrete pads for everywhere, because this seems like a very long time to do this. Just
Well,
like
it does,
8
and so
years, and,
so
it's
what I'll do this year is I'll make at least, this will be the first time to make the commissioners aware of this plan too at this budget cycle.
Right.
So it might be more put in there or not. Chrissy meeting with Roy are discussing the places that it's usage and well, we say higher priority spots, but yeah, as you look out, that's an 8-year process, speeding it up, getting it done within 5. But with this money here, we might well, we're going to quicken up some of that this year with that, and maybe even more.
Sure, and I think, I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure the board would like to see this accelerated by many years, if that's at all possible, within like 3 to 4, if that's even possible. And I'd like to just get some discussion from the board to see if anybody else feels the same, or.
What's the motion?
There's no motion, just general discussion right now.
Okay.
But do I have a motion to recommend we complete this in 3 years or 4 years, or is that possible?
Is it financially possible?
I mean, we're just recommending to the commissioners.
We'll see, but then what I do then is, when in the budget memo or even in our discussions when I'm at the table, then I would just say, commissioners, the Recreation and Park Board advises to get this 8-year plan to 4 years and see and then they still do what they believe is best for the county at the time. But to hear what the advisory board said, they'd like to hear that.
Have we received a lot of complaints for not being compliant?
Christy?
No, sir. And one of the things we've been very good at through the years is anything that comes up is fixed pretty much instantaneously, or as quickly as possible, but there's very, very few complaints in the parks.
All right, well, that's all I had, Mr. Shepherd. Oh, are
You
you?
have a question over here, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Well, I'd like to know who set the criteria on the physical years of doing this?
myself and our parks maintenance manager set the criteria. And again, first with priority use areas, having many people coming in from out of towns for tournaments with the turf fields, and of course Chancellor's being our large regional park, that's where those came from. So we went down the parks literally by usage, and then some of the smaller parks were put in there because they were, and combined with larger ones because they were so small with the amount of things that actually needed to be done.
So Chaptico Park, Dorsey, Lancaster, 5th District, Cecil, I was under the impression that Bagot was a very, very used facility for baseball and softball. And I'm just curious as to why it may be so far down the list, that's all.
Again, literally just based on the numbers that we have for participation for things, and the most usage. It is a fluid document. That's just something to keep in mind. Those things can change at any time if we find that the need is greater in another area.
Well, that's what, excuse me, Chris, but that's what I was going to ask too. In this, it's I would say usage plus what's the need at that site. Are those items that can wait, or there's some that are just egregious as fact is mobilizing people around the field? And I don't know that answer at Bagot Park.
No, and
How do you find Bagot Park?
the other issue that we looked at is proximity in the county, because those first three parks you want to get, we have something in the northern end, something in the middle, something in the southern. So there was a lot of different contributing factors in how we came up with it, but nothing is written in stone.
Are there are there any additional grants other than the DNR? I mean, is DNR like a grant, or is that a?
Yeah, it has to be spent in FY '22, and doesn't have to have matching funds. So it's pretty lucrative, really.
Okay.
It's not a norm.
And is there other ones that we're looking at? Or?
Oh, well, there's the commissioners will be going over on the 17th, the American Rescue Fund, but there's not a recommendation in for the transition plan, because we're just kicking this out the door, formalizing it, moving forward. Because as you said, we haven't got many complaints, but that doesn't mean that you don't want a park system that's integrated, fully usable for all users. Because of the disappointment of one person coming and not being able to participate. So that's where we're headed, that we're not going to be complaint-oriented as much as we're going to be out front with this transition plan.
Yeah, we look forward to that plan, Mr. Shepherd.
Okay.
Thank you. Have you considered the landings and the museums as well in this plan?
All of them. Mm-hmm.
Well, and the museum properties actually fall, the facilities, just like Wicomico Shores Golf Course building, fall under the county government's ADA transition
Gotcha.
plan. It's just the actual parks and public landings.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Chairman?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So if I understand it, by September, we're going to see projections of cost for each one of these years?
There will not be projections of cost in September. September is the actual site audits, the plans, the policies, and the projected fiscal years for completion.
We'll have in September FY '23, the Chaptico, because that's time we have to start putting out numbers for '23 anyways, budget. So '22's been allocated, '23 we'll have ready to go, but the whole timeline, this series, and we, but come October we'll have some matches there, can start putting some numbers to it.
All right. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Moving on. Back to some old business of Lexington Park Manor passive project.
Yeah, well, what we're going to do in this one, it's made some headway, some strong headway. So I'm going to let these first two pages, or the first page, the regarding the disc golf course, the community, where's that community gardens, Christy? Is that in the beginning or toward well, we'll just flip-flop. You take this page and talk about that disc golf course and what the partnership we have with the Lions Club, and then I'll take it from the restrooms from there, okay?
Okay. So Lexington Manor has a lot of partnerships and community folks that want to be involved with the park and the different projects, and the disc golf course is another one. The Lexington Park Lions had contacted us in hopes of finding a way to make the disc golf course more accessible. So we have a new project going on down there for adapted equipment for visually impaired. You can see on the photograph in the presentation, the baskets are brightly colored. Currently, the baskets that are around the disc golf course are all gray. They're all silver. They don't stand out, so the new baskets would be installed with bright colors, with possibly for Braille signage on them, and then discussion on the equipment loans for individuals in the community that can't purchase discs, because some of those discs can be fairly expensive.
So what I'll do there is have, let's say, call it Freedom Nights on Thursdays, and we would have staff there so that those that need the accommodation equipment, somebody be there to check it out with them and make sure it's returned, so you're not buying this expensive equipment that adapts to the visually impaired. So that's very exciting that the Lions Club has stepped forward with that. It really is. And they're also, while we're here, they also want to put benches up throughout the disc golf course and the arts park area. So they're stepping up strong and want to be an excellent partner and stakeholder in this park project.
And you can see in the new photograph of the bathroom facility and the restroom facility is coming along quite nicely. We have a roof.
Yeah, let me jump in there too. Back, flipping. So got the call today. I think it's going to be the second week in September. Shingles are, you know what's going on with the COVID and getting supplies. The color, that original color, not getting. So they're coming in. That'll be done. The electric will be taken to it. So that's about a month away, 4 to 5 weeks away. Talked to the contractor today, so that's exciting there. We finished that entrance on 235. I don't know if you've seen it. I've talked about it enough, the clearing and that's done there, and we even put signs says out of bounds on the fence, just like you would on a golf course. Benches will be throughout there. Street and demolition is done in the Arts Park section in the northern parcel. Because if you look on that picture on the left next to that stage, you'll see how that's going to look. All the curbing and sidewalks have been cut out of Coral Drive. There, you see the seating there, and that Coral Drive will remain the same size, and then there'll be 2-inch asphalt overlay. And then Lay and Salomar were reduced in half. Same thing, get the water off the property. And they've moved to the new entrance on 235, 2 days on that, getting that new parking lot ready, new sidewalking in that area. And then once they get all that done, then here comes the asphalt. So, and then at their stage there, the electrician showed up yesterday. What that means is they will be, we site out exactly where we wanted all our conduits. Well, the conduits are there, all our power, the amperage for the stage for concerts and lights. We've got that spec'd out and ready to go. And then also where you can plug in for food trucks, vendors for when we have street fairs there and things of the like. And then he says, all right, well, we can also get you a nice little, when you have those festivals here in the park, people are here all day, just a little something on the side is a phone charger system, because it's there anyway, so we're getting that. And you'll turn that off and on in the bathhouse, that center section. So the electricity won't be on all the time, but only for events and that, so, you know, people aren't just tapping into it. So moving forward there, Christy, tell them about this next page, that community gardens, and then I'll take the road.
Okay. So we are currently in the process of establishing a Community Garden Advisory Board. We have quite a few partners on board already, including the Sierra Club, the University of Maryland Cooperative Extension, several different sections of the Cooperative Extension, 4-H, Master Gardeners, Community Food Nutrition, Family Consumer Sciences, Lexington Park Rotary, Feed St. Mary's, and the UCAC right now have all agreed to sit on the board and discuss the creation of the project. We do have water run to the location. There is a map on there to give you some sort of idea where the community garden location will go. We are going to meet again in the very beginning of September to start putting together some management ideas, some design ideas, so we can get together some cost proposals And very excited about it. And then, of course, I put the bench
Yeah.
project on there that Arthur has already spoke to.
So right there, as you come in, Coral, where the community garden is going to be, we've also trimmed that area out so you can see through now for safety. You can see through from that. That's going to be a new parking lot soon over there. So that's making it safe and very pleasing to the eye to look through. And when you first come into Coral Drive. But what I'm excited is about these partners, because they're very excited. Not only are we going to have a meeting in September, we're also going to either go to the Lexington Park Elementary or the Lexington Park Library so that we can invite the community. So they'll know, they'll hear firsthand, and maybe there may be some more investors or people that want to use it, because that side of the park, we're going to have, not that side, but we're going to have compost area, also an exhibition garden, pollinators, as well as this community garden, transforming that entire area. And can I slip back? The Arts Council, a huge partner, is there from the beginning. Probably on that new restroom, as you're pulling in, that side is going to have a mural on it naming our partners and a logo, as well as the interpretive center. A lot of good things. And I'll move into this street now, too. Do you have the picture where you have the overhead shot where the green and blue arrows are? Mm-hmm. All right, so you're coming in South Coral Drive. If many of you are familiar with that, you probably are, but just haven't been in a long time. You're coming in there, you can take the left to go to Linda's, your post office on the right, and right at Three Notch Theater. Well, that road is brittle. The sidewalks are brittle, not conducive for transfer. So I have recommended funding for this in the American Rescue Fund, because it's eligible, and to get that done in the sidewalks, and Public Works will manage it. We're also at where it says signage. We've met with Public Works yesterday, and they're going to be putting an ordinance with the commissioners to put a four-way stop there, because we want people to know that there's going to be removable bollards, so we don't want you to keep going straight down Coral, and then any other time if we're letting parking out, because we did open it, that people stop. So that's what that plan is, and the funding we'd like to see come through the American Rescue. Anything else about the Passive Park? We're delighted with the sponsors. Construction's well underway. Stage, I still have signage. Karen Stone, the museum division, is working with the Arts Council to produce signage throughout the park, telling about the role of the Navy and the Flat Tops, the Battle of the Coral Sea that named all the roads. Also with the UCAC, the information there, and tie all that together. And then with the stage, and I'm looking for maybe at least one fall concert there on that stage this fall. Patrick Murphy opening up for the music that night. That would be funny.
That would be fun.
That'd be real funny.
So, Mr. Shepherd, can you explain the concept of what the overall concept of a community garden is? Is it individual people, or is it someone coming in and providing a garden?
Well,
what does that mean?
Well, I was there in the beginning, but I think with the recent meeting with Feed St. Mary's, and I didn't stay the whole meeting, so why don't you talk about that, how that all ended up the other day?
Well, and that management structure that I was talking about is really where we're going to determine that. But right now, the thought was to have a few, like 8 large garden areas that would be available for communities, agencies, organizations, and then about 36 individual plots that could be used by individual citizens.
Okay.
And then one of my thoughts was that the individual citizens, and naturally not everybody is loaded with the proper tools. So that would be another thing. So once again, Freedom Tuesdays. And then you would have the storage there, tucked away a little bit, but now can be unlocked, and tools can be given out on Thursdays so people can work their garden size, the ones that don't otherwise have the tools.
Sure.
There's also a really large educational component to it with both Feed St. Mary's and the Master Gardeners Association and Sierra Club as well, that want to do lots of educational sessions for the public on how to grow your own food, or how to use, how to work inside the community garden, nutrition classes, things of that nature.
So you think when we have events, let's say we would have, instead of it being just sometimes you go to events and a table and there's handing out brochures. Let's say if you had a Friday night concert series in October, Sierra Club gardeners, they would come and be at the garden area, and then children could come over there and learn some things, learn how to plant a seed, see it grow, what things to use, and then see a garden. So we think that's going to be a very popular asset, because we're going to put some swing benches in there too to make it very, very enjoyable in the shade and the evenings there at that park.
Sounds good. I just wasn't familiar with the concept, so I wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah, that community gardens across the country are booming right now. They've been around a long time, but it's in a boom again. I'm very excited about that. To roll the Sierra Club jump forward with us. Then, Christy, you're a master gardener, right?
Almost. I'm a master gardener intern. I passed the class, but I still have a lot of volunteer hours to do.
So you passed the class, but you just got to get your intern hours. Yeah. So then, she was definitely the person for the project for our
Looks like
department.
you've got a volunteer.
They moved me out of the way quickly when she came along. But yeah, I want to open the meeting up to the community in October, so everybody will be aware that it's there. Get there, just like you, Mr. Murphy, that, some people say, what does this mean? How can I get involved? What's it going to cost me? How do I get a plot? All those questions can be answered in a nice community meeting in October.
Depending upon the success, it sounds like it may go to other areas of the county as well.
Oh,
if you can
no
do that.
doubt. No doubt.
All right, well, thank you for that. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for that, Mr. Shepherd and Christine. Next item on the agenda is project updates. Mr. Shepherd again.
All right, I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to slide some off to Christie as well. Dorsey Park, we say we're here at ball field fencing in all baseball fields, but really it's all that were budgeted. That's Baggett and Dorsey, linked up. Good-looking fencing all the way around. Those are completed, and you can see how that the restroom at Dorsey Park by the football field is just about the same spot, but it'll be done first because the shingles will be in first, and then the plumber, they're going to hopefully get them done this weekend, the roof. Then here come the plumbers and the fixtures and the painting. And Christie, now you have this asphalt path that goes in front of it, but it's not connected, and then it has a slope to it. The slope has to be right. So, her being on staff trains us and keeps us in the right spot to make this a very accessible restroom, because you look at that whole front is going to be a concrete pad that goes all the way out, not a little small sidewalk section that goes out so people can maneuver about. Children can be on their rollerblades with watching their sibling play ball and skate to it and go right into the restroom, no problem at all. So I'm really excited about that project. You're going to see the the wing walls come in front of the doors, though, too, to offer some privacy, but they got to pour that base first, then they'll get those walls in front to add to that. But totally accessible restrooms, hands-free. Dorsey Park. 3 Notch Trail, Christy, take that one.
Okay. So we are back working hard on the trail. Right now, the design firm is working with some of the intersections that have been updated and had construction work done to them since the last time they went out to survey them. That's at Airport Road, Wildwood Boulevard, and, FDR Boulevard intersections. We are waiting, and patiently, it shouldn't be too much longer before we get our 95% plans that will go simultaneously to the State Highway Administration and over to Land Use and Growth Management, and go through the TEC meetings for approval. And we did get our wetlands planning management permits from the Army Corps of Engineers, from the state and the federal levels. So 3 Notch Trail is moving forward with Phase 7.
Christy, it took me a little bit longer than it's taken you to make sense of all this. You're doing a good job. Hey, Snow Hill Park, very pleased with the rate of turnaround with A. Morton Thomas on this. We just got some new concepts about the parking lot. What is that? We have, how many total spaces? 100?
Just under 100.
Yeah, right there, and then 24 for the boat ramp for boats, and then all the ADA parking spots there. So that very nice concept there. We're going to get back with our stakeholder team here soon, and then we're also going to have another public meeting. Now we'll be ready to get for the public, probably meet at Oakville Elementary School this fall to get in some input about the parks. A very nice concept. The September meeting, Mr. Chair, we'll put that concept on the agenda as well. Let you get sped up one more time about that, because we'll have had our meeting in August, and then let you start weighing in on the concept at Snow Hill Park, seeing some of your thoughts. So begin to think about it. If you want to ride out and look and see where was a boat ramp go, how's all this going to work in there, I'd advise you to do that. Shannon Farm, you know where that is, a homegrown market down there at Gate 3. We are at a concept there, but now, Christy, explain, here we go, to get through that wooded area down to the Chesapeake Bay is about a mile. And it's going to be accessible. But then you have steep grades. Then so what's the allowable grade? What are we going to side with and talk about our field trip?
Okay, so ADA allows you to have a 12% slope, but I will tell you that is not very usable. It's legal, but it's not usable. So we had two proposals from the engineering firm. One was at 5% slope, which is wonderful. It would be allow somebody that uses any assisted devices to be completely independent throughout the trail. And then the boardwalk through to the beach. And then one was 7%. 7% may pose a little bit of a challenge, may need a little assistance. That mom pushing the stroller may really have to push a little harder. But it's definitely within the legal limits of the ADA. I'm always going to tell you I want the lowest, the 5%, but it will do quite a bit more interruption into our wetlands and construction concerns with that.
And cost.
And cost, definitely cost.
So that's why we want to go. What's the name of the park where? Yeah, it's in Anne Arundel County.
Boatington.
That firm did some work with that, and so I said, I need to go somewhere that I can see a 5% and an 8% and walk it ourselves, because this is too important either way. So I'm going to walk it, and so I'll know, and so that way we can talk about what the impact on the land and the cost, because you'll see the two, they'll lay out the two concepts, 5% grade this amount, 8% grade this amount, and then we say, well, we have to have it, or we say it's toss up, well then, to look at the cost and see what you want to do.
And it's important to note that only certain sections of the boardwalk and path area would be the difference at the 7%, that it wouldn't be the entire length of it.
No, not at all, sections. Any questions on those parks before we get to this other facility? I'll whip through them, and then St. Clements Island Museum and the gymnastics leagues, but I didn't want to get through all of those and have some questions on those waterfront parks. I just like the progress we're making, and A. Morton Thomas, Kyle Mundy's doing a good job with keeping us informed, following up, and I think we're moving forward pretty quick. Okay.
Any other questions? No, we're good to move on, Mr. Shepherd.
Okay. So from page 10, other facility and park improvements completed was that new field fencing, athletic field lights at 5th District, your turf fields, and the tennis courts, and you can see the picture there. That's a fine look at Wycomico and Baggett Park. And upcoming, we still have the Lancaster Park Playground, where the money's allocated, a $500,000 playground there, and that's for children of all abilities. We're lighting the tennis courts at Cecil Park this fall. Musco's already on it. The money's been allocated. And the reason we're going there, and I think I said it one other time, is they have 4 courts there. And that's where tennis wants, because then you can play league play there. So we're lighting those tennis courts up, your asphalt overlays, bathroom remodels at Great Mills, Pool, Margaret Brent, and Leonard Hall. And then we have 2 wharf improvements, and we got DNR money for that in the amount of $125,000 for the Bushwood Wharf. St. Clements Island got a concept today of the 2 floors. Well, we got 3, so we're having to decide. The exhibit people are meeting with Karen Stone, and so that's progressing pretty strong. That's very exciting, because think about this. You're going to be a part of having input into the birthplace of Maryland, the museum there that's going to be there for the next 30, 40 years. That's going to be an exciting project, so you'll get that one when we get into the concept and some of the thoughts. And that's another area you might want to go to. So, and then next, here's what you're going to be hearing about St. Clements Island Museum. Picture the museum right there, but right as we're facing out to the river, the property on the right-hand side, private homeowner sold that to DNR. We're very excited about that. We alerted DNR of that, so now by doing that, we'll add that to our lease agreement, We were allowed to move some fencing already, they let us, so that opened the space up for the Jazz Festival. Then during construction, we're going to use that home for office space, and then further years out, whatever we do. So very exciting that that piece of property was sold to DNR as a conservation piece there on the water. So there's all the dates to get you through and some budget numbers. Then I'm going to go to page 13, the Gymnastics Center lease. And I've explained this to you. Next May 22, the Gymnastics Center lease is up. So what do you do? Do we stay there? What are your customers are saying? What are the commissioners are saying? What is the community saying? So here's the progress. We put an ad hoc group there as well. I've met twice in person at the Interpretive Center in Lexington Park with them. We have a meeting scheduled on the 16th of August, I think. And I got the date right about updates because we just put a survey out to all the recreational and team gymnast families that we got input back about cost, location. Because as you know, the fees pay the cost of that lease and everything that goes with it. And certainly now the rates are more than reasonable. So moving will change things. I've been out and looked at properties, new buildings, existing buildings, and have an appointment to go what was formerly the Weiss there next door to the Hobby Lobby to see if that fits the bill and can be renovated and be lease space in that area. So in the end, I'll get recommendations there, then I'll make one, and in the end, the commissioners will decide where the gymnastics center is going to stay, and for a long-term lease, because the longer your lease is, the better the rates are, and there you have it. But the longer your lease is, then you're tied in. So there's all those things to answer, but we did bring the parents in 2 ways: ad hoc group and the survey. So we're hearing from them and listening to them, so we can make some recommendations. Mr. Chair, I think that's all I have on project updates.
When do you have to make a decision on that by, Mr. Shepherd?
Well, I'd like to make a recommendation this late fall, so that way, time it's made, and let's go to a fair number and say now we're into January.
Sure.
So let's say we can get over to an existing building and have it ready to go in a year. Then, you're only having to extend your lease a short period of time to stay there till you move. But then if you are going new, well, Tommy, it's permitted and you're paying a lease agreement to some of the stakeholders in the community that have property and would build a building and let you lease on their land.
Yeah, I was just looking at your timeline, May 31st, 2022. Didn't look like you'd had time to get a new facility up by then.
No, they know that we're thinking, and we could be back, because this part of the new lease, let's say if we stayed there, part of the new lease might be where we got to do something here, some construction here, and we might have to have some downtime to get that ready. Because some certain things might make people want us to stay more, but yet because the rates are good, but yet at the same time, it needs some
work to get
it needs an uplift and makeover, possibly. So, no, it probably won't get there, but at least the discussion will be there, and we'll have time to extend the lease or whatever we need to do.
Sure.
Okay?
And I went by your gymnastics center probably last month or so, and your staff there is exceptional.
At the gymnastics center?
At the gymnastics, yeah. They're a great group of people, yeah.
Man, they are. Well, and it's a good time for me to say it. You see me, you see Christy, you got as the board, but really to think about it, the $15 an hour to $20 an hour hourly employee is the backbone of Recreation and Parks. And then the volunteers. I mean,
It was just an exceptional group of people. They were all nice.
It changes everything.
They all knew what they were talking about, always willing to answer questions.
I don't, the parks we have open on the weekend, the waterfronts out in collected all that, Elms Beach, we had with the grasses and dealing with the public, and they keep coming back week after week. I say, Tyrone, you must treat them good. I mean, because they're coming back.
I passed that on to them. I was impressed by their professionalism and just their general demeanor. They were just.
Can I make another park announcement? Would you mind?
Sure.
The National Night Out was Tuesday at Nicollet Park. What a night. Hadn't had that COVID last year and hadn't had it at Nicollet, but what a night in Nicollet, and then turn around Wednesday night and had the NBA, that John Duckett, that league he runs, and had the championships last night and went very well. Then I also went up to Country Lakes on Tuesday, because we're invited, but, we lease those fields. We're in a lease agreement with the HOA at Country Lakes. Very well up there as well from Mr. Gillingwater, the HOA president. So I got to 2 sites, but our park, Nicolette, shined on Tuesday night. It really did.
Well, good. Well, thank you for that, Mr. Shepherd.
Yep.
Any questions? Comments? Thank you, Mr. Shepherd, for that. Appreciate that status update on projects. Unless we have any new business you want to discuss?
Mr. Chairman, not being familiar with the protocol, I have some questions about the past minutes.
Yes.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask that or
Sure.
not.
Or we can wait till we adjourn and discuss it afterward if you'd like
Pardon?
to. We can adjourn and we can discuss it afterward if you'd like.
Well, it required some answers from the director. That's the reason why I want.
Oh, sure.
I'm open.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I've only gone back over the past 3 or 4 months to try to catch up on some things as to where things were. And I noticed, I guess the direct question is, what kind of arrangements are being made to request additional staff funding for Recs and Parks, either on a full-time or part-time basis from the commissioners?
The budget is, we haven't got the budget calendar. Well, I looked for it today, so it might be my neglect because I couldn't find it, so let's not say that. But I haven't seen the budget calendar. So then that's September is why I said here we're going to talk about CIP and some things there. So be ready to talk about that. Then I will make the recommendations of commissioners for that. Operating budgets won't be due till December, January. So we can spend also in October talking about an operating budget here so that that way it'd be your way of, just like you did earlier, concurrence to advise the commissioners on maybe some new things in the budget or things out of the budget or things transferred in the budget.
I had noticed a couple of cases in the minutes where, and maybe I'm not understanding some of the language from it, but there seemed to be some indications that you felt that more staffing was needed for the park system. Am I reading it wrong, or?
You're reading it right. You're reading it right. You're reading my mind. And so what I've done, and since we've met with the leagues, and we're going to meet again on August 23rd at Wicomico Shores in the north, because I promised that we were going to talk about field reservations. I've been working with Tim Drummond of the past 10 days in Charles County about the one of the biggest things we have is game field preparation. So I'm going to begin talking to the commissioners about that, about staff in the parks for game field preparation. So that is a staff issue, yes.
So how many parks are you looking to try to have full-time staff at?
Don, I'm not there yet. Talking with Tim, I think we're going to have to, in the end, man, if we could get just 6 in the beginning, I think that would be a good ask.
How many? I'm sorry.
6. That'd be a big ask, though, really, but a good one. It'd be something that we can shoot for. Because if you look at in the parks budget, I'm just using Charles County because that's we're all familiar with those sites, and plus they're the colleagues next door, and the information with the parks manager overseeing maybe a couple, then you have an assistant manager, and then you have the hourly employees. You're talking, and then what will have to happen to have them in there is one of the big successes they have is they have equipment in those sites. So, there's equipment barns, there's a certain amount of equipment that's not shared. But I think that's a good way that we might want to head here in the next few years so that we can get staffing in there. But that's a huge plan. That's a huge ask, but I want to start it now. And that's what I'm working on. And I'm going to introduce that to the leagues on the 23rd of where we're headed with the staffing and the program open space money to improve fields.
And the other thing was back in, I guess it was June the 19th, when you had your meetings with the different programs.
Yeah, the multi-sport
That's right.
fields
I'm
are on
not
the
sure-
21st.
I'm not sure that
baseball.
date is
Yeah,
exact
21st and 28th. Yep,
Yeah.
I can remember them.
So do you have any outcome on those conversations that took place at those couple meetings?
Well, the baseball one, that's why I'm going to have the meeting, the follow-up meeting on the 23rd of August at Wycomico Shores, so that we'll discuss those outcomes then. And then I'm working on, we've gotten prices for grading, pitcher's mounds, home plates, resetting bases. We'll have the irrigation before then, so we'll be able to come up with a total package for approximately 14 fields. And I can't remember how many the parks they were in, but they were in all 7th District, 5th District, Baggett, Chancellors, Cecil, Dorsey. Those were definitely impacted in there, but 14 right around their fields. So that spreadsheet will be given out that night when that's finalized, and then also talk about a summary page of what it would cost to have staff in the parks.
So am I to assume that the programs that attended are all of them going to be invited to that meeting, or is that just?
All baseball and softball are invited.
Okay.
And then, but I have it in the north end because probably, we'll probably to talk the improvements first, and then we'll go into the field reservations second, because that's what I promised out, that the north, with the amount of travel teams that are in the north, we need to have a discussion on how we are, fare things out and get in the future and moving forward. But yeah, everybody's will be invited to that, including you,
I'm sorry.
including American Legion. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When we met to bring me up to date
Yeah.
with coming into the board, I had talked to you about the charge card business and a 3% adder, and we were going to get to the finance committee and so on and so forth because of the loss of charge card revenue. Have you had a chance to talk to them yet about that, or?
Yes, I've had a chance, but because I don't like saying I didn't have a chance. But yeah, but we Jeanette and I haven't discussed it. She'll be back, so we're ready to go with those discussions. Probably this Tuesday, coming August the 10th.
Okay.
Okay.
That was it, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. DeGraves.
Any follow-on from that? All right, motion to adjourn.
All motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody.